Welcome back to the Everything Motor Racing Podcast. This is episode 4. You're joined by your host. I don't really know if I'm a host or not, but Declan from Everything MotoGP, and I'm joined with Jacob from Now Moto.
Hi guys, what's happening?
And then the other guy, don't really know who he is, but we just kind of drag him in. He just sometimes talks, you know.
Yep, the name's Keelan McNamara. These two obviously forgot who I am, but that's okay.
I mean,
Hi, everybody. Glad to have you with us again.
Yeah, stuff like that. But yeah, it's been a pretty crazy weekend of racing. I mean, it was just mental in Qatar, wasn't it?
Yeah, the last 2 weekends we've been spoiled. Let's be real.
Oh, absolutely. It's been manic week after week, and we're only 2 weeks in, so.
Yeah, I mean, why would you want to watch?
Delivered.
Yeah, why would you want to watch anything else? Like, imagine watching F1.
Imagine like sitting down on a Saturday at 6 o'clock now, right? And you're watching Songs of Praise instead of MotoGP. I know where I'd rather watch.
Yeah, me too. I mean, there's nothing to beat the adrenaline thrill from motorcycle racing.
Yeah, 100%.
Nothing ever will.
No, it's very true. Very true. But we're doing something a bit different this week, and instead of myself hosting it, it's going to be Jacob. So, Jacob, take it away.
Yeah, so, as I said, what a weekend of racing. It was just amazing, was it not?
Yes.
Like,
put it
just
gently.
Wow. I didn't think we'd top last week, but here we are, with a lot more to discuss than last week. So,
oh, yeah. That's really crazy.
First of all, we'll jump straight into Moto3.
Yeah.
And the Moto3 FP2 penalties, which caused 7 riders to have pit lane starts. Fair or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know. I do agree that these riders should have been banned. I mean, I don't know if you watch it really closely. If you watch it really closely, you can see that Dennis Foggia basically swings out in front of Artigas, and Artigas has to take evasive action. He almost clatters into the back of him because it just was sat waiting for a tow.
And we thought that the penalties would be enough. Clearly not.
Yeah, it's like, it's just Moto3, innit? Like, if you can make millions if you just buy them all, watches and sell them all to these Moto3 riders, because they don't learn. Like, every year there's something else that goes on, and it's like, come on, it's so frustrating to watch.
Yeah, riders pushing the envelope, and that's what I think.
Yeah, for my money personally, I'm with Declan. Those penalties for FP2 were absolutely deserved. To be on such a slow lap whenever other guys are still trying to get their laps in is just beyond dangerous, especially in a classic Moto3 where there's such little disparity between top speeds between different manufacturers and teams. So, yeah, absolutely deserved. And like Jacob just said, you'd think the penalties were enough, but obviously they're not. So, in terms of the actual question that he poses, yes, fully deserved. No question in my mind at all.
Yeah, I mean,
I would 100% agree.
Yeah, it's not like they affected them. I mean, Pedro Acosta.
Unbelievable. And second ever race. We'll jump down a minute, but first of all, I wanted to discuss the warm-up crash of Izan Guevara.
Yes.
I thought he was quite lucky to even be racing, to be honest. It was a bad one.
It looked terrifying. I mean, when the camera just kind of cut to him, he just lay there with the doctor's like the phone box thing they've got. I don't really know what it is. Sorry, I'm not medically trained, but he's just lay there with the box thing, and it looked really serious. He wasn't moving. I did speak to some riders about it, who said that it was just quite a tense atmosphere on the track, but obviously he's fine. And he went to the medical centre. He had a hand injury, and then went out and raced. And considering he's a rookie, put a very solid performance in. Obviously he was overshadowed, but
he got sixth, which is for my money with a hand injury. A hand's kind of important on bikes. So
really,
yeah. So for that, 6 is more than solid.
Yeah, I thought Izan Guevara was massively impressive, especially after that crash. To not only finish, but to finish in such a good point scoring position is a massive credit to him and his team. So, yeah, big congrats to Izan Guevara for even finishing, not even mentioning how good of a point scoring position he was in.
Yep. So, onto the race. And for me, 9 seconds losing the pit lane, you lose by starting in pit lane. Now, for me, the last rider to go through was Andy Farid.
Yeah.
there was at least a 3-second delay before the green light went out in pit lane. Now that needs work for me.
Needs work
What do
in
you
what
reckon?
way? In what way? Like, is it too long, too left, or is it
Too
Andy
long.
Farid, or
No, but quite literally, it should be the second Andy Farid crosses that beam
yeah,
of pit lane exit, the green light should go on and off you go.
should be, yeah, but it's not really a penalty then, because the whole idea of starting from pit lane is that you get a disadvantage. If you're let go as soon as Andy Farid passed, yes, you're at the back of the grid, but you may as well just put them at the back of the grid. If you're going to actually properly penalise them, you need to make sure that there is a time buffer in place between these riders.
There's not supposed to be. And that's the problem for me. It's they say, as soon as the last rider goes out, green light on, but it doesn't work that way. So either make it so, you've got the second, but clarity is needed for me.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we know what race direction is like with being clarity and having consistency across the board.
Yeah, exactly. For my money, personally, I actually lean more to Declan's argument. I think
'Cause
the
I'm great.
entire point of a pit lane start is to actually deter and punish the rider for what to do.
Yeah.
Now, as for the delay, I do agree there needs to be more clarity from race direction. But the point, and I actually think Declan, I couldn't have worded this any better myself. The entire point of starting from pit lane is so that there is a buffer and a deterrent. If there's going to be too little of a gap, it just becomes a runoff onto the track. There has to be a clear disadvantage put in place for you. Otherwise, there's no point in giving you a pit lane start to begin with. So I think more clarity is needed on the light situation. I fully agree with Jacob there, but the rest of it, I think, is actually a pretty good system.
Yeah, I agree with them having the pit lane start. I just think, if they're saying, you go as soon as the last rider goes, then you're thinking, okay, cool. And then the last rider goes, and then there's a 3-second gap. You think, actually, there's really not a straight thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, because obviously we saw it in I think it was Mazzano last year with Zarco, because he obviously got penalised and he was miles behind. But I think the rule is obviously someone can correct me because I know what people are like on the internet. I read the comments, and somebody. Wait, hold on a second. So with Zarco, obviously he waited until they were at turn 1, and I heard, obviously, because I watched the BT Sport coverage, no disrespect the Dorna people, but, Neil Hodgson knows his stuff. And
oh, yeah.
And what they say is Gavin Emmett basically rightly said that it's turn 1. And I, thinking back in my head, back to previous, pit lane starts, they always start when the riders hit T1 and not when the last rider's passed.
You could be right when they enter the sector, yeah.
Yeah, but obviously...
It would make sense, even thinking back to like Valencia 2012 and stuff, yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, but, I'm not always right, so I could be dramatically wrong, so...
But, yes, but, of course, for one rider, it really didn't make a difference starting from pit lane.
No. And Pedro Costa, what a ride.
Yeah, what a ride. And to do that on your second ever World Championship meeting, and to ride with the maturity that he did, I just thought, wow.
Yeah.
What else can you say other than just straight, wow, fair play?
Yeah, I mean,
so impressive.
Yeah, there's a reason he's the rookies champion last year. He was so mature on the bike. You see all these Moto3 riders, without naming names, who just fly into corners and they have no regard for their competitors. He was smart, he was calculated, he was mature, he made clean overtakes. It's Moto3, you expect a scrap, and he just literally, he was happy to wait and pick out his move, because we saw obviously a fellow rookie, Artigas, destroy the field last week through no fault of his own because he was on the dirty part of the track, but it caused a massive stir. And obviously the last thing he wants to do is do the same. And so, the way he rode that race was just unbelievable.
Yeah, for me, it was a case that he showed maturity beyond being 16 years old. And for that, I was concerned he burned his tyres, first of all. I thought he got to the back of the group, he dispensed with Fallon, and got into the back of the group with Koffler, and I thought, all right, here we go, now he'll slow down. But he just didn't. He just carved through the field like a knife through butter. It was insane.
Yeah, he was massively, massively impressive, and at 16 years old, no less. in Moto3 to be 16 and to ride with that maturity, it's unlike very little I've ever seen before in my life. And of course, it's only his second race, and I don't want to be one of these people that puts any pressure on him. I just want to see him develop his talent organically and become as good a rider as I'm sure we know he can be. But he reminded me of a young Jorge Lorenzo watching him, just carving through the field with ease. And like Jacob just said, not bombing through corners or riding with reckless abandon, just smooth and clean and cerebral and precise. And it was a thing of beauty to watch. It was a masterful performance. He didn't get caught up in the scrap of the rest of the pack. He waited for his chances to overtake. He did. And he rode with the maturity of a 24, 25-year-old rider. So tremendous congratulations to Pedro Acosta.
Yeah.
He was joined on the podium, obviously, by the two of the oldest riders in the field.
Exactly.
I mean,
so that says it all.
It does. I mean, you say the maturity of a 24, 25-year-old rider, and then you see John McPhee, who's nearly 27, attacking Jeremy Alcoba, who's, 19?
Yep.
Yeah.
But just as a thing for that, the FIM have, in fact, given the sanctions out.
Yeah.
At the next race in Portimao, Alcoba will be given a pit lane start, that's 5 seconds for the Portimao race, and McPhee has been given a pit lane start and 10 seconds, and both have been fined €1,000.
Which is fair, because if I'm honest, like, we've got people who motorsport is growing, MotoGP is growing massively, and so for people to come into the sport and see that in a race, it's just disgusting.
It's bad been your first race, I completely agree. If you've been your first race and you think, oh yeah, this is amazing, and why is that guy kicking the other guy?
Yeah, like, what's that all about? I mean, it tarnishes the brand name of the sport, it tarnishes the brand names all over these riders' suits. They're professional athletes, they shouldn't, they're being sponsored by, like, I don't know, Alpine Stars, TCX Boots, whatever.
Petronas, one of the biggest brands in the world. They must be straight embarrassed to have seen that today.
Yeah. Disgraceful.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I said about McPhee last week.
It actually feeds in. It does feed in very well to that, Jacob. You have to understand. You can certainly understand John McPhee's frustrations. It feeds into the huge debate that we had last week. Is he unlucky, or does he keep putting himself into these positions?
Yeah.
But either way, you can understand his frustration with the sheer volume of DNFs that he's accrued. But to act out on Jeremy Alcoba the way he did was totally unacceptable and far beyond the line that we accept from professionals. To be frustrated and to go up to him, I think we could accept. But to kick a fellow rider, I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that. And quite rightly.
Yeah, even like Iannone and Paul Espargaro at Misano, they went up to each other, they had a scuffle, but no kicking, no, proper contact.
They were punching each other. Well, I don't know, like, have people come at
me. But they were missing as well.
But, like, obviously, if you see the full clip, they were pushing each other. They were, there was force in what they're doing. Jeremy kicked him back. It's disgusting.
Yeah, they both deserved the penalty and they got for that.
Yeah, they did, 100%.
But then you look at McPhee and his 0 points from 2 races, and compare that to his teammate Darren Binder.
Yeah, he's 2 boxes, isn't it? I've completely forgotten where he's finished.
A second and a third.
There you go, look, fantastic
result.
A
third and a second, technically the other way around, but yeah. And of course, the third rider was Niccolo Antonelli on the podium.
Yeah, his first podium since 2019, wasn't it?
Yep, and he's now matched his 658 squad podium count. But of course, his 658 squad podium was a win, so he's still got a little bit to go to match that. But as we were saying about him and Mino before being under pressure, they finished 3rd and 4th. They must have listened.
Yeah, they really have. I mean, I can't get my words out. It really surprised me when I learned, because I only learned today that he'd only had 1 podium with the 658 squad, because I imagined he'd have 4 or 5. So when I realised that an ex-Grand Prix race winner, who had an outstanding a couple of years with the Snipers team, only got 1 podium in 3 seasons with the 658 squad, whilst Suzuki was winning races, that stunned me.
It did me as well.
It's he's underachieved. Let's be real.
Yeah, Unbelievably.
So is this like? But this is Niccolo Antonelli in a nutshell. There, you think, oh yeah, amazing, and he obviously loves Qatar because he left Qatar before in the lead of the championship a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
So he
because he
obviously
won the
loves
first
this
race.
place. So I'm just hoping this isn't a false dawn.
Oh, I pray, because he's really quick on his day, but I just can't see where his career goes from here. Like, yeah, the amazing result today. I can't take anything away from that, but if you're not battling for the
Sport is calling.
championship, you know, we've got these rookies coming in, like Acosta, who are winning races.
Yeah, like there was two 16-year-olds in the top 6. Like,
Mental.
It shows you how far Moto3's evolved, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that. It's how far the Junior World Championship and the Red Bull Rookies have evolved.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, even from the European Talent Cup and the British Talent Cup, if we're honest, because now there's a path to the Moto3 World Championship, and we've seen it with Guevara, we've seen it with Acosta. You got your choice. If you win the ATC, you can go into Red Bull Rookies and CEV, and if you do well there, you're pretty much guaranteed to be going up.
There's so much talent coming through at the moment. It's just crazy. Like you said, guys like Guevara and guys like Acosta, who are just absolutely world-class quality. Just a quick word from me that I would like to shout out for guys beyond their years. Darren Binder, I think he's been fantastic the last 2 weeks. You know, he's got 2 podiums in a row, as Jacob mentioned. And I'm a big, big fan of his. I think he rode very, very well today. I actually think he rode in some aspects more maturely than last weekend. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a different Darren Binder this year. He's got dive bomb on his helmet, but so far we haven't seen it.
We have seen it a little bit. We can't say it hasn't, but
not the Darren Binder level. So you know what I mean?
Not the Binder swapping paint, everybody. But who is swapping paint is Jaume Masia on the last lap.
Yeah. I got to be honest. I think lesser riders than him and Rodrigo would have gone down. So I think they both did very well.
I agree.
To even stay upright.
Yeah, and Sasaki slanders Sasaki as well.
Speaking of Sasaki, before we go any further, Philip Salach. He hit Salach, and Salach has been on social media saying he believes it was deliberate.
Deliberate?
Yes. He says he thinks Sasaki's contact was deliberate and that it could have been avoided.
Oh dear, those are strong words. I mean, I don't know, it did look like a racing incident, but the camera, we only saw one shot of it, and it was like 3 seconds long of, obviously, Sasaki kind of taking Salach's line, but nothing really came of it, and so...
Yeah, like Salach, for his credit, he led for the first time, he did very well, his size, much like Raul Fernandez last year, just completely ruined him on the straight.
Yeah, it did, yeah, because he was so
slow. To finish the race on the floor, I thought was very harsh.
Didn't deserve it. I was shouting for him to get a race win all race long. He did so well because he's a great rider. We were talking his praise last week at the end of the day. And to see him crash out like that was tough. That was tough.
Yeah, I felt for him. And one other thing I did want to mention was I realised that halfway through the race, that when Kaito Toba was leading, that he could have won for CIP exactly where Tomizawa won for CIP in the first ever Moto2 race.
Oh,
so I was rooting for him for that when I clocked it, and he got a top 5. So that's not bad at all.
Yeah, Toba rode really well.
He has won a race here before as well. Anyway, so
yeah, that's it. But to do it for CIP, which obviously was Tomizawa's
team. Oh yeah, same team, innit? Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
That would have been so nice.
It wasn't to be, but yeah.
Did good. I mean, we obviously made our predictions last week, and so Keelan predicted Masia, Acosta, and Binder on the podium, and got 2 of 3 right. Pretty solid. And then Jacob said Masia, Acosta, Rodrigo, so you got 1 of 3.
I think I would have had 3 of 3 with the contact, honestly, but
yeah, I think so. And I just got 0 of 3 with Masia, Garcia, and Sasaki. With obviously Garcia starting from pit lane. But there is one rider that, I'm a bit wary about now. He's got 3 body counts. That's a horrible way to phrase it. But 3 riders on his body
Jesus.
count now.
Yeah,
Which
Mr.
is
Tatai.
yes, so Mr. 2019 Red Bull Rookies champion Carlos Tatai, who obviously smashed off Dennis Foggia last race, and then this race he knocked off Artigas and Fernandez.
Yeah, there's a penalty coming for him. Pulled him out.
100%.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I mean,
He also
penalty.
went down.
yeah, he did, yeah,
So it's his own
with
fault.
Fernandez.
Yeah, so it's his own fault. But he got back on to finish 21st. He actually finished ahead of Andy Freed.
Yeah, it's just pathetic that he's beating Andy Farid. Like, that's twice now Andy Farid's been beaten by riders who've crashed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Tatai
exactly
needs a severe penalty.
Yeah, this it's time now. If like much like they have with McPhee and Alcoba, put your foot down
Yeah.
and say
Yeah.
enough of this. You do it again, you end race and next race. Simple.
Yeah. Because it's
And,
just it's out of order.
Yeah, and for riders who I felt for, one of them, Artigas, who he hit, he completed
Big
his long
shame.
lap. He was his double long lap.
Yeah, he was doing really well. He was
Battling.
really strong.
Yeah, battling, and then he gets hit off after he's completed his long lap. Like, you got to feel for him.
You know, just some idiots will be like, "Oh, karma!" But yeah, that was tough because it was a shame to see him get the long laps because he was 6th place on the first opening lap. Obviously, until he took the first long lap penalty. So he was really strong. I was genuinely really surprised. Obviously, we know he's fast, but yeah, he recovered really well.
Yep, and we also had another guy who had his top ever finish in Moto3 in 8th place, Ryusuke Namanaka.
Yeah, good ride because he's a strong rider. I remember watching him in the CEV championship, and he raced for Alessandro Tanucci's team as well for a wild card.
Yep,
He
and
was,
EG.
yeah, and he was really strong in the CEV and in the Red Bull Rookies. I think he's got various Red Bull Rookies race wins to his name, so he's not slow. And I think because when he did his wild card as well in the CEV, that was on a KTM. It just proves that the KTM is better for him.
Yeah, I agree. Bristol I didn't expect much of Bristol this year, if I'm honest.
No, Dupasquier
so
in
far.
11th.
Yeah, fair play to him, you know what I mean? Like, he stepped it up a gear this year.
Yeah, the pair of them have, like, obviously Jason Dupasquier has done really well. I can see him moving teams next year, but to a better team.
Yeah, I think, like, with respect to Bristol, they are, as we've said before, they're the B team, aren't they?
They are, apart from if you've got Marco Bezecchi riding for you.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a bit gutted that IO came in and took Acosta, to be honest, because obviously at the start of the season, well, just before, he was signed for Bristol.
Yeah, with the MT helmets kind of link in there, because obviously Acosta raced for the MT 77 Foundation team last year.
Yep.
And they kind of collaborated with Bristol before it just completely fell through, and then obviously we know now that Fernandez was moved up, and then Red Bull, etc., put some money in to put him in the IO team.
Right decision, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's proven, isn't it?
Guys,
now the better free championship leader.
I have something I just wanted to throw out there real quick just to get people's opinions on this.
Yeah.
Especially in relation to Moto3, which we've been talking about now. We've been talking a lot about sanctions and deterring the kind of incidents that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. And I wanted to know what you guys thought about this, and especially those listening now, feel free to get in touch and tell us what you think. What do you think of the idea of point deductions and promotions to riders who are affected by other riders' riding?
No.
Especially someone like Carlos Tatai. So I'll give you a bit of an example. What he did today, say for example, he won something like 5 points. Would you deduct 2 points from those 5 and give them to the rider he knocked off the track? Or what do you think about that?
Ooh, that's an interesting point. I don't think you can give points, but you can certainly deduct them.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with maybe deducting points, but in the
not
same
the
way,
addition.
Yeah, but in the same way, these riders have earned those points as much as what they've done on the racetrack is, for lack of a better word, rubbish. Because I was going to swear then. It is bad what they've done on track, but to deduct points that they have earned out of their own right is not right.
What you've got to think is, who's to say, just for example, who's to say Fernandez would have finished anyway?
Yeah, I mean, he was
and then
fighting
if you gifted him a point,
but
then he could have crashed the very next corner without Tata, you know what I mean?
But his chance to prove it's been deprived by Tatai.
But there's no solid proof, is there?
Yeah, like unless it's the final corner
Yeah.
I don't think it would carry any weight.
Or
And
the
as well-
final lap.
Yeah, like literally, if it's one corner where you're going to get out of it and you get hit, maybe then is an argument. But even then, I don't think you can really give points because,
Like, oh yeah, I won a championship.
As bad as it is, you get
donated
hit.
points.
Yeah, as bad as it is, you got hit. You didn't earn it.
Yeah.
Like it's entirely unfortunate, but you can't be giving points that someone else have earned. That's just I don't think it's.
Sorry.
It's a good idea, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But in execution, I just don't think it would be possible.
No, I don't, unfortunately. But it's a good shout.
It's absolutely thanks. I wanted to throw it out there because, especially with what we've seen this weekend, a lot of the punishments that we're seeing don't seem to be having the deterrent effect that they're meant to be having. So that naturally leads to the conversation of what you do to kick it up to the next level to achieve the deterrent that you need to. So it was just an idea that came into my head there now about whether you take points or something like that. Of course, I'm not suggesting that the FIM or Dorna will implement that. It's just a thought of curiosity about what you actually do to ensure the punishments have the desired effect is all. But thanks for your feedback.
Yeah, like without the Costa, you could say that the pit lane was enough because the other riders didn't. The highest one who started in pit lane was Fanati. If you take a Costa out of the equation,
Yeah.
so normally that'd be enough. It's just how do you account for sheer talent?
Yeah, it's as well like how bad would you feel if you won a title by 6 points and it was because you handed them in race 3 because you got skittled off.
Yeah,
it's not earned. It's more it points out a charity case.
Yeah, every single world championship point has to be earned.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
But I do like the idea of removing points. That's quite an interesting one because that is really harsh and it could really kick riders' butts into gear.
Yeah, we've seen
that's the line I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, like imagine if Arenas had lost points for his Valencia shenanigans last year.
Yeah,
we'd be talking about Tony Arbolino as the Moto3 world title.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it is a big deterrent, and it's something that maybe needs to be considered a lot sooner than it actually is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the take it away, the give in. Nah, this is a communism, not a democracy.
Yeah, I agree with your point about giving. Maybe that was the wrong way of phrasing it. I do think taking away could be a good deterrent, though.
Yeah. Like I'd take it away manufacturer points as well. Because then if you've got to behave, because if
like Yamaha.
Yeah, if like KTM would lose the title by 2 points because you skittled someone off, then that would be enough to them to say, "Oh, right, come on now,"
Yeah.
So it's a good idea. With work, it probably could work. I think.
Right, time to move on to Moto2.
Yeah, Moto2. So first thing I want to discuss before we go ahead in the races, how impressive was Ayagura? Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic race by Ayagura.
Oh, no question. I was watching Moto2. I was actually watching for Joe Roberts because, as you guys know, I am a big Joe Roberts fan. And I saw him, I think Joe was in 5th before he sadly crashed out later on. And I thought, this is great. Joe's 5th. He's running a great race. Is that Ayagura in 6th? And I was so impressed by the pace he was setting. He looked fantastic. He actually looked like last year's Moto3 Ayagura finally. He just looked really, really solid, and he looked like he was setting a fantastic pace.
Yeah, because from 5th to 11th, which was Ogura, Fernandez, Augusto, not Raul, Vietti, Manzi, Vieje, DG, and Arbolino, every single one of them were in 5th at one point in the race.
Crazy. I mean...
Yeah.
Damn.
And for Ogura to actually beat them after falling behind and to regroup, respect.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about Arbolino being in 5th, but I think most of them were.
Albo was at one point.
Was he?
Yes, he was in.
I
think it was only for about 2 corners, but yeah, he was actually in 5th at one point. Him and Manzi, he overtook Manzi for 5th.
Oh, I clearly fell asleep during Moto2 then.
But yeah, for him to battle with riders of that caliber and actually beat them after everybody was battling, like DG was a podium man and he only came in 10th.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and Vietti 7th, another fantastic rookie, and the rookies were really impressive. I think Bobia could have done well if he didn't find the ground.
Yeah, he was making up pace for sure before he crashed out. I think, what did he get up to before he crashed out?
I think he was in the top 10.
I thought he was 10th, yeah, and then he slid out.
Yeah, and even Arenas, who was nowhere last race, like absolutely nowhere, he found something. He got the final point in 15th.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, he crept into the point scoring, which was impressive, yeah.
And it was at the cost of Hector Garzo and Nicolo Buliga, what's going on there?
Yeah.
God, yeah.
They both already riding for their rights for me.
Yeah, one person I was impressed with as well earlier, Javi Vierge, Jake Dixon's teammate at Petronas. He scored 9th. I was very, very impressed with his race, just behind Stefano Manzi. I thought he was very, very good. I think he crashed out last weekend, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm going to cut right in across that and say that I'm not impressed in the slightest, and he should be battling for wins by now. Just putting it out there.
Yeah,
just cutting across like Miller did to Mir,
Declan?
Yeah. But I actually had it down that Manzi Vierge improved a lot from last week, which you can't really criticise an improvement.
You can't criticise an improvement, but an improvement on mediocrity is considering he's ridden for Marta VDS in Tech GP, Tech 3 in Moto2. He did good on Tech 3. He's in Petronas now, and he should be on the podium. He's not had a podium in years. He stood on the podium in the class. He was phenomenal in the CEV Moto2 class, and he just can't pull it out of the bag.
I agree with you. He should be higher.
Much higher.
But when he competing by Vietti on his second race in Moto2, then alarm bells need to be rung.
Yeah, and you've got Raul Fernandez in third place.
Like I can forgive Manzi, I think, because he's obviously just jumped onto the K-Lex.
Yeah, 100%.
And the same as Bo, just jumped onto a K-Lex. But riders who Vietti's beaten, like Navarro, Dalla Porta, Garzo, Buliga, Chantra.
Yeah.
What's going on with Chantra? He was brilliant at the start of last year, and then all of a sudden, he's nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, Qatar is a weird track as it is anyway.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see more into the season, but all these rookies are just, like in MotoGP, Moto2 and Moto3, we've seen a rookie on the podium in all three classes. It just doesn't bode well for these riders who've been there a little bit too long now. If they're not stepping up the game, they will easily be replaced.
Yeah, if you're one of the older boys now, you're a bit worried, your Lutis, your Baldas, people like that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, with obviously Jorge Navarro in Moto2, he's riding for the Speed Up team. There are two incredibly fast riders riding for the Speed Up B team in the CEV of Alonso Lopez and Fermin Aldeguer.
Yes.
Aldeguer? Is Aldeguer? I can't pronounce it. Oh, yeah.
No, you are right.
I'm not pronouncing that. Those two, Alonso's already got a Grand Prix experience. If riders like Jorge Navarro can't perform, then the replacement could be in the line.
Well, I think one of the two is going up regardless. Yeah. Because you can't keep either of those talents in CEV for very long for me. Like Aldeguer he's one of the most special riders to have come through for me.
Yeah, he's just ridiculous.
Lopez is going to take to that bike. You just know full well he's a very talented rider. You don't come through the non-low setup by being bad.
No, exactly. And he's got Moto3 podiums. What happened in Moto3 this year sucked. But
there's a lot of tits and tats, but at the end of the day, the rider on the bike is Adrian Fernandez and not Lopez. So
yeah, and that's that.
Yep, so be it. But for him to be on the Boscoscuro chassis as it is now, there's suddenly you're thinking, my job's in danger here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Montoya isn't performing as expected at the moment, but again, he doesn't know Qatar. He does know Portimao. He does know Jerez that are coming up.
Yeah, Barney knows Boscoscuro, but of course he doesn't know the 765.
No, he doesn't.
So I'm prepared to give Montoya the benefit of the doubt. I think Navarro is in last chance saloon.
Yeah, I mean, Montoya and Arenas are given the benefit of the doubt because they're rookies or were a rookie last year. But Navarro, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, he's been in long enough now to be, he's been picked up by Magna at the end of the day, someone who they're expecting to lead.
Yeah.
And so far it hasn't come off.
No, it hasn't, and it's a shame because He's shown so many glimpses of talent. He was 4th overall a few years ago, and now look at him.
Yeah, that's it. I think the 765 has really hurt him, sadly. But
One other guy I'd like to mention real quick is Marco Bezzecchi of Sky VR46, finishing 4th. The reason I'm mentioning him is obviously massively impressive last weekend. Finished just outside the podium today. I thought he was racing to preserve his tires, but it seemed to me like he was just a bit off the top and that it wasn't actually a preservation issue. What do you guys think of that?
No, you're right. It wasn't a preservation issue. He's actually having trouble with the wind.
Yeah.
He said his dealing with the wind is not as good as others around him, which kind of showed 6.7 seconds off the win in the end. But solid points in 4th. For me, that's not. What can you say about that? You know?
Yeah, I mean,
4th place is not bad.
Not bad at all, to be fair. I mean, obviously, we made our predictions again last week with Keelan saying that he thought that Lowe's, Joe Roberts, and Digia would stand on the podium. Jacob saying Lowe's, Gardner, and Raul Fernandez, which is spot on.
Fantastic.
And then
so
I said
2 specialist.
and then I said Lowe's, Bezzecchi, and Roberts. So I mean, yeah, that podium, what a fantastic podium that was.
Yeah, Fernandez is quite literally the real deal. We all knew.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
we've still got to prove it. We've got to move on to MotoGP in a bit with another rookie. I'm sure you all know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Who's proven that it's a real deal as well. But it's easy to say, it's hard to do. And right now he's doing it.
At the end of the day, he's obviously coming to the class as a rookie, moving up unexpectedly because he was meant to stay in Moto3 this year. And so to come up with the prestige he has done and just hop on the bike and just gel to it that quickly is fantastic. And I mean,
so impressive.
Yeah, and it's not like he was miles off as well. Like he finished 3.371 off, but that was
he was in the mix until Lowe's pulled the pin.
Yeah, and then Lowe's and Gardner obviously just were setting laps faster than their qualifying times. You know, them two were on it by a mile. Like Sam Lowe's hashtag on it. You know.
Yeah, on it 22. I thought Remy probably could have been more aggressive, but I don't know if anybody saw it. But in his interview after, he said that he actually thought he went on the green in the second to last corner where he was going to make the move and didn't want to make the move because race direction were going to take it back.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, that for me is sense. That's maturity.
That's good thinking.
Bodes well for Remy because we all know Remy's had the speed, but if we're being totally honest, he's been a little hot-headed.
Yeah, a little bit in the past. He's been a little bit, silly moves, etc. But this year, I think Io was just, giving him that special sauce that Io hands out to all his riders, and we're just.
I don't know what they make in Finland, but it works. But Lowe's winning. We didn't really see past it. First rider to win 2 in the intermediate class since Mike Hailwood
in 1966.
Yeah, that's not bad company to keep, is it?
No, obviously the first 2 opening rounds, because obviously Sam Lowe's got a triple last year. But yeah, the first opening 2 rounds was won by Lowe's, which is the first time since 1966. And I believe the first time ever a British rider has also got 2 consecutive poles to wins.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe it.
Well, I'm not going to question it.
Yeah, that's a pub quiz question right there, isn't
it? Yeah. So he's obviously doing really well.
Yeah, I wanted to mention his other British rider in Moto2 was Dixon, and his slightly... Well, I haven't actually... Don't know full stop what happened in the incident, but from what I gather, he went down and took Marcel Schrotter with him.
Yeah, I heard that, Jake just made an accident on the track, and Marcel Schrotter hit Jake in the back.
Yep, so... quite unfortunate for Dixon. Luckily, he didn't seem to have done much damage to his wrist, which, of course, we know is injured. So, on you go.
Yeah,
it's an incident. Move on, innit?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel really sorry for Jake Dixon. He's continued his form from last season into this. He looks like he's comfortable in himself and his ability now. He doesn't look like he has those second thoughts anymore. And I'm really happy to see it on the track. Because we all know how good Jake Dixon is and how good he can be. He's just suffered a bit of misfortune in Qatar these last 2 weeks. But I'm hoping over this season we will see him finally convert that into race wins because he really does deserve it. I doubt there's anybody in the paddock who works harder than him. And, I really don't think anybody wants it more than Jake does. So,
you wouldn't begrudge him a win, would you, at the end of the day?
Oh, no, you wouldn't.
He's come in a different way from BSB. He's at his first season on that KTM, which was, without even wanting to disguise it was a pig of a bike.
Yeah.
So for him to have survived that and got a move to Petronas, which is a fantastic squad, and pushed on, you can't begrudge it.
Oh, no question. And I can't wait to see when he actually does do that because he really does deserve it. One other guy I do want to shout out before we move on to the main class is actually Remy Gardner. And I want to shout him out for the reason that you mentioned, Jacob. That reason why he didn't make the final corner move on Sam Lowe's. Obviously, the concerns that race direction would take it away from him. I'm really happy to see this mature development of Remy Gardner. That's the kind of mentality and maturity that wins you world titles. He's, like you said, he's not reckless, he's not hot-headed, he's finally thinking calculatingly, and he's almost showing signs of what his father used to think like Wayne Gardner when he was competing back in the good old 80s. And I really think he's starting to show shades of his dad actually in his skills on the track. And I'm so happy to see it because this is the thinking that wins you world championships. And I'm sure if Remy keeps thinking like this, he will get there.
He and Lowe's are clearly a cut above at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, Lowe's is going to be a tough rider to beat, but it is it's going to be out of Remy and Lowe's unless there's a catastrophic injury. Like Jacob just said, like they both have it. There's something that riders have, and you can just tell, and that they're them two. Yeah, they've got it.
I also feel like they both have something in hand over the rest of the field, even over Bears.
Yeah, even like 2 tenths, just an extra 2 tenths in a race.
Just a slight amount. Before we move on, I just wanted to say about Robertson Bobia.
Our friends across the pond,
I was a little bit disappointed because they were both running inside the top 10 when they went down.
Yeah, it's a big shame, especially for Bobia. He made a massive step getting to Q2 this weekend, and then, he did really well. I think he still qualified in 14th, which is pretty good because he was still within a second of pole. So he's making massive steps. He's already got some experience at the next 2 tracks in Portimao and Jerez, which is good because, he's already tested at Portimao. He's raced at Jerez previously, and he's also tested at Jerez pre-season. So that's good. That's boding well. And so the fact that he's obviously made this progress on a track he's never even ridden at before is really good. So it was really gutting to see all his efforts go to waste in the gravel trap.
Yeah, I think they are both a very good advertisement for Moto America at the moment, and I was
massively
being it's now a championship with respect to it. It now is a championship that's getting close to world level.
Absolutely. I mean, you just have to look at the level of talent, and actually a level of talent that we're just thinking because obviously Marcos Ramirez might not race in Portimao because of his injuries, and one rider I really think could do well on that Kalex in the American racing team if he has to replace him is Sean Dillon Kelly. Obviously, Sean has previous Grand Prix experience because he replaced Iker Lecuona. He was on the KTM. It was a bit of exactly. It was a dog of a bike. He was second overall last year. Was Dillon Kelly in the Moto America Supersport Series? He was good in the Rebel Rookies. He's a really solid rider. If you get him on that Kalex, obviously we saw how good he was at the Daytona 200 to lose out as well, though, to Pasht. I think...
well, we mentioned him last week, didn't we? And I think he deserves another mention because I don't think Ramirez should have ridden personally, and I think they should have got him in and replaced him because
exactly.
You can't fault Ramirez for his commitment.
No, absolutely.
First and foremost, he obviously thought he'd ride, and all good MotoGP riders don't know when they're beaten, i.e. Mr. Marquez. So, for that, you can't really fault him, but I think the team should have taken it out of his hands.
Yeah, they should. I mean,
especially when they've got a rider as good as SDK waiting in the wings who could replace.
Yeah, because he's in the Moto America. No, not the Moto America. In the American Racing Academy anyway. All they had to do was get him on a plane and send him to Qatar. Sean Dillon Kelly was testing a Kota last week, But if the call comes to race in the World Championship on a Kalex in Qatar for a team
you jam the brakes on your Suzuki and hop off at the end, you know.
Yeah, you will at the end of the day. Like, it's a opportunity of a lifetime. He deserves to be in the World Championship, and that is his key. That is one of the things that will get his name heard. So the American racing team, not trying to promote American racing by having at least a rider there as a reserve rider. Sounds bonkers to me, but, you know.
Yeah, I would like to know why the decision was made to not get him into Qatar.
Yeah, just as a reserve. But, you know, we never know what goes on behind these people's minds. So, no disrespect to the American team. It's a really good team, very well run. But, you know, come on.
Yeah, I think that was an obvious move that probably should have been made, but
agreed. But we're not team managers at the end of the day, so we don't know what's going on. You know, it's a lot expensive to bring a rider in from America at the end of the day to Qatar. So,
yeah, I was a little bit disappointed, but we could see him import him out because Ramirez is not a happy bunny at the minute, so it could well happen.
SDK for the win.
Yeah. SDK, SDW. Yeah. Yeah, it was a little bit disappointing, but well, there's always next time he's young, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's like, 18 years old, so there's always going to be chances. People know his name at the end of the day, so...
Yeah, we'll see him in the future, I'm sure of it. So, on to MotoGP, and there's only one place to start for me, and that's the Jack Miller and Juan Mir incident.
Oh, yeah.
So, what did you make of that?
Disgusting. Well, that's Scottish woman. Disgusting. But yeah, in seriousness, utterly atrocious from Jack Miller, because you could clearly see the intent, because he literally came onto the straight, stared over at Mir, clocked where he was, and went bang, smashed into him.
Yeah, it's this the look over, then moving the bike for me. Like, these are 300 horsepower, 220 mile an hour machines. They can kill.
Easy.
And to do that was out of line. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, Mir hit him, but Mir went for the pass. There was no intent to hit him. He just wanted to get past.
Yeah, exactly.
For Miller, the intent was everything.
Yeah, the look.
No, like, you can say what you want, but at the end of the day, this is not supposed to be a contact sport, first and foremost. Rubbing is racing. That's cool. That was more than rubbing.
That was clanging affair. That was smashing into opponents.
Yeah, it's I think it's absolutely disgusting, and I think it does tail into what I said last week, where Miller, now he's on the factory bike, it's precious for him to him already.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, somebody actually messaged the Everything Motor Racing page afterwards. Basically said exactly that. They said that obviously he's now in the factory team. He's finished ninth twice now. The pressure's going to be getting to him, and he needs to be up there. Johan Zarco was on the podium twice. Pecco Bagnaia is on the podium. Jorge Martin, the rookie, has now stood on the podium on the Ducati. Jack Miller has not stood on the podium.
He's the only GP21 to have not stood on the podium yet.
Exactly. You know, he really needs to pick it up.
If you're listening, you got a chance, go on to No Moto on Facebook. Have a look at the comments on the post there. See if you agree, because people seem to be very divided. Now, I don't see how they can be a division. I just can't.
No, it's clear as day.
It is. It's clear. Why there's no sanction is beyond me, because I think genuinely believe that I'm trying to word this in a way that doesn't get me told off. But I think the FIM were slightly recalcitrant to actually punish Miller for his first offence, as it were, on the factory bike.
What word's that? What?
Recalcitrant.
No idea.
Recalcitrant, they're basically reluctant.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I'll try again.
No, it's fine, Lou.
But I think with that, they were a little bit worried about actually punishing the new factory man on his first appearance, or like his first incident on the factory bike.
Maybe, but if that's the case, there shouldn't be a bias.
Yeah, but there is a bias. There always will be a bias. Like, the factory teams will always get more decisions for them.
Yeah, because Ducati can just slide money under the table.
Well, not even that. Like, hey, what do you like at this brown bag full of the money?
You what?
Bloody
No,
Mario and Luigi bribing Ducati now.
It's the Italian
Yeah.
conspiracy. That's what it is.
Yeah, Italian
Oh my
mafia.
God.
The Italian mafia.
No, I think like if MotoGP was to lose Ducati,
It would be huge.
yeah, I think it's the Ferrari and F1 story.
Yeah.
They need
Yeah.
Ducati more than Ducati need MotoGP.
Yeah, because they could go and win loads of more titles in World Superbikes.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So
mean,
for that, I think they were very reluctant to actually punish him. But so a move of that, just disgracefulness,
Yeah.
needs punishing. It's that simple. Like I don't see how you could possibly defend something like that.
Yeah, because like I like Miller. I rate him as a rider, I really do, but he lost his head. And you can't be losing your head again. You're a professional athlete.
Yeah.
I think a lot of respect for a lot of people has gone down now for Miller.
Yeah, like it just seems it was shades of a 2014 Jack Miller that we saw years ago in Moto3 that was just clanging fairings and super aggressive, super angry. Maybe it's an Australian thing, but
Yeah.
I think Miller, like, if he hadn't looked over, I would give him the benefit of the doubt
Yeah.
and say, okay, maybe lines converged. You know,
lines
it
cross.
happens. He just wanted to block him, but the fact that he looked and then positioned his bike for the contact,
Yeah,
he wanted contact and he wanted Mir on the floor.
yeah.
It's that simple.
I don't want to say Mir on the floor, but I would say send a message of hitting him. But I wouldn't say he wanted to knock Mir off, but I would say that he wanted to retaliate by hitting him back.
He wanted Mir out of his way.
Yeah,
When quite literally the way he could have done it would be avoid Mir, because these are the best riders in the world.
Mir's a world
If they
champion.
can't change a line slightly, then something is seriously wrong.
Yeah,
Like I don't think I would be able to change my line on that Ducati, but
No.
I'm not a MotoGP rider.
exactly.
He
They
should
know
be
what
able
to
to.
do.
Yeah, so for me, for that, I think he should have had a penalty and possibly more than just a. I think he should have at least had a 5-second penalty at the end of the race for that.
Yeah, he should have been definitely in trouble. Naughty Miller.
Oh, Mir, for his part, should have had a talking to as well, because
Yeah.
the move he pulled on Miller was not a good move.
No, it was just.
It was
straight-
desperation to get past because he could see Rins going up the road.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of like stuff going on in between the Suzuki camp that we don't see. Rins is desperate to do one over Mir. Mir doesn't want Rins to do one over him, so there's a bit of like they get on, but
the Mir move was a mistake with intent of passing. Miller's move was not a mistake with an intent of contact. And
It
I
was
think
just
for
to
that
prove a
reason,
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for that reason, you can't be playing bumper cars at that speed. You just can't.
no.
Yeah. Sorry, Dan, go on ahead.
No, Karen's all good, bruh.
No, This is my take on the Jack Miller situation. First of all, what in the hell are you doing, Jack? You know, I can't, everybody knows I'm a big Jack Miller fan. I like him a lot. I rate him massively as a rider, but I can't and won't defend what he did on this podcast, and I can't defend it to anybody. All he did was try and bumper car Joan Mir to prove a point. And like Jacob said, and I fully agree with him, you cannot be playing bumper cars on a 300 horsepower MotoGP bike. It's far, far too dangerous, and it's way unnecessary as well. I think the main cog in this situation is probably Miller and his new factory status. And what I mean by that is this. When he was with Pramac over the last year or two, we've seen Miller with less pressure on him, and he's been cool and he's been flowing and he's ridden really, really well. I think it's kind of like they always say, heavy is the head that wears the crown, and Jack
Yes.
Miller is now wearing the crown of factory Ducati. And I think the fact that he finished 9th last weekend, he's really starting to feel the pressure now. And as he's slipping down the field, he's starting to really, really feel the heat turned up on him. And I
Because
think
he's team leader.
yeah, he is team leader. And even when him and Pecco Bagnaia both moved to factory Ducati in the off season, Miller was the one that we pretty much gave all the spotlight to on the assumption that he would be the one leading Ducati's title charge.
Agree.
And I do think he's struggling to deal with the pressure of this. Now,
Yeah.
Mir's move on Miller, I don't think was perfect in any way.
No.
And I do think Mir should certainly be given a strong talking to. But to go out and consciously bump into Mir out of some sort of petty revenge, you are a professional sports person and you are held to a standard and you were meant to
Yes.
maintain that standard and certainly not dip below it the way he did.
Yeah.
It was petty, it was foolish, and Jack Miller comes out of this looking very, very bad.
Yeah,
it's
horrifically
that
bad.
simple. You've nailed it.
Like, I can scroll through my Instagram feed now. If I go onto the Everything Motor Racing page now, scroll through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 posts, consecutive posts discussing what happened. If you make a move and no one discusses it, it was fine. If you make a move and everybody wants to discuss it, it's clearly an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Mia went for a move and it didn't happen. That's racing.
Yeah, exactly.
What's not racing is smashing into someone coming onto a straight.
Yeah, it's just not.
That's I'm absolutely disgusted with Miller, to be honest. It's good.
Yeah.
Everybody comes out of this looking awful. It's none more so than MotoGP for me.
Yeah, because at the end of the day,
because they didn't punish correctly.
Yeah, it just goes out to my old point of, if a new fan comes in and sees, riders can do this and get away with it and not get punished, what the hell?
Yeah, I just don't know what he was thinking. I don't think he was thinking.
No, absolutely not. Just red mist. Red Ducati mist.
Yeah. But fun Ducati rider going on from a negative to a positive who was utterly brilliant, getting pole and then third, Jorge Martin.
Yeah, he led for 18 laps as well. What a stunning start to his MotoGP career.
Yep, he does exactly what I've said previously. Obviously not on the podcast because it's quite new still.
Yeah.
But I believe you need to really dangle off that Ducati to get the best out of it. Pecco does it, Martin does it, and which is why I think a lot of the taller Moto2 riders would do well on a Ducati.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, these, I don't know, bring it back to Luca Marini, taller ex-Moto2 rider. He's doing well. He was 18th for this race. He has struggled in Qatar quite a lot, but he did really well. He nearly got into Q2. Marini's doing quite well.
He was ahead of his brother for a large chunk of the race.
But,
and that's not a dig at Rossi. That's impressive from Marini to be that far ahead of what. If we're honest, he loved Rossi wasn't doing well. He's still a legend.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
The sport, and for Marini to have led him for 9 on 15 laps before succumbing to the pressure, you can't really ask much more of Marini at the minute for me.
No.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
Yeah, but I am impressed with Jorge Martin because, like you said, he's riding it like the Moto2 bike. He's hanging off it. We've seen these Moto2 riders come in and ride these bikes like a Moto2 bike and do well. Brad Binder last year took a win from riding it like a Moto2 bike. We've got Zarco, who hasn't won a race yet, but he is he's a old school Moto2 rider, if you get what I mean.
He's a classic rider. Same as Tito.
Yeah, exactly. They're not these new Moto2 riders who hang off, elbow down. Zarco was not one of those riders, and obviously they had elbow down beforehand, but it's just not how they rode. But
Martin is basically body down at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Because
it was Pecco.
Yeah, because they had the blooming shoulders down.
Yeah, because like you said to me, obviously in private, I know we haven't been discussed, but he's damaging fairings and suits on his shoulder pads with his lean angles.
Yeah.
That's. How can you be damaging a fairing and the ring by wearing through it by leaning over so far? That's just mind blowing.
Nuts, mental.
And I think it is what you need to turn that Ducati.
Yeah,
because if you try to ride it like Dovi, for want of a better term, Dovi is very like a very old school rider, and he very rarely see his elbow on the floor.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not quite. It's like 98%. I think the body lean, the Moto2 style, is the last 2% you need to ride a Ducati well.
Yeah, because it is just coming into the new era at the end of the day. Because we just saw, obviously, Pecco, Moto2 champion. If you go through the Ducati riders from last year, Dovizioso never raced in Moto2. He's a 250 rider. Petrucci didn't ride Moto2. Miller didn't ride Moto2. Pecco has ridden Moto2 and has got a podium.
And he was the only rider who wasn't complaining about the bike turning.
Exactly. Zarco, 2-time Moto2 world champion. Jorge Martin, Moto2 rider last year. All three of them have a podium. Miller doesn't because he's not riding it like a Moto2.
Yeah, send it back to Moto2 after that move.
But like, send him to Moto3.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I can't imagine.
Can you imagine the carnage?
Oh, goodness me. But yeah,
I just think the Ducati is not as bad as like turning wise as everybody says. I think you just need to ride a certain way to get the best out of it.
Yeah, you need the right rider on it because Lorenzo, again, he was, as soon as he got that little tank pad in that allowed him to turn it, bang, sorted.
Yeah, I think everybody's like, oh, the Ducati's a bad bike. It's really not. I think it might be the best bike if it works for you.
Yeah.
So it's obviously ever since like 2007, it's been a very finicky bike.
Yeah,
it's no mistake, and it's been hard to ride. But if you can ride it correctly, it works for you.
Yeah,
I think those new air inlets we were talking about that Jacob mentioned by the back of the front tire.
Yeah,
I think they've helped a lot as well with cornering because they're helping the front tire drag in towards the apex more.
Yeah,
that's what I've been seeing.
Martin is wearing through is the bottom fairing apparently.
Yeah, he's literally putting holes in the fairings because he's letting over that far, and obviously he's scraping up his suit, so Alpine Stars are going to have to work something out. But
I just discussed him, but I want to move on quickly to what's going on with Rossi.
I don't even know because he's complaining of rear tire issues, but he's been having rear tire issues for like 4 years without trying to disrespect the man.
There's only so much. It's kind of like where you can say, "All right, come on now, sort yourself out."
Yeah, but again, like his teammate Morbidelli really struggled, but I think obviously I haven't been able to see any photos since the race, but it looked like Morbidelli was missing a knee slider. I could be completely wrong, but you look over it, you didn't see knee slider, it was just Velcro. It looked really strange. So I think Morbidelli lost a license.
Knocked off.
Yeah, he must have lost.
Because they don't just fall off.
No, they don't. They're horrifically strong.
And speaking of things that were knocked off, did you see Rins hit a wing?
Yeah, where did that come from? It looked red.
It was Fabio Quartararo's. It was actually kicked off.
Really?
As Quartararo passed Martin for the lead, he stuck his knee out and kicked his wing off.
Wow!
Oh my god!
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
I got sent it by a guy who I know in Yamaha, and he sent me a picture and he booted it.
What, like purposely or?
No. Like he stuck his leg out, obviously, because that's Martin's style of cornering. Stick your leg out to bring the front across.
Yeah.
And when he stuck his leg out, he kicked the wing fairing off.
Flip neck. That's not good, is it?
It takes force.
I mean, I can actually confirm that Morbidelli did lose his left knee slider. I've just literally, whilst I've been sat here, just found the photos from the race, and Morbidelli has actually lost his knee slider, which obviously, because you saw him quite high up and then just dropped down the order, and if you can't place your knee down, then you're a bit screwed.
Yeah, you're just dragging,
he did lose
your leg.
Yeah, like there's a photo I'm looking at now, and his levers are scuffed right up because obviously he's been dragging his actual knee down and not the slider.
See, now that for me is luck. That's bad luck.
That's
like twice in a row
luck.
Now he's had bad luck.
Yeah,
that's
not like McPhee. That's bad luck, mate.
Yeah, that's really bad luck for his knee slider to go, and then obviously last race for the issue on his
whole shock device actually stuck in the engaged position for the entire race, causing the bike to sit down.
Yeah, the first issue that I kind of want to take at hand is that Jacob's question about Valentino and why he's struggling, because I have a couple of different theories on this. And by all means, I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm always open to being corrected. But these are the theories that I have.
Okay, settle in, kids. Let's see.
The first issue that I think is at hand is that Valentino keeps using a soft compound on his tires. For whatever reason, he seems unable or unwilling to use a medium or a hard compound. Now, that would lead me to think, if that is the case, that naturally soft compounds will wear out easier. But he's hoping that will give him enough pace to maintain with the rest of the pack so he can make up the difference in the later laps. Now, I don't know if
Okay.
that's the case or not. That's strictly what I've seen. And my second issue is, and it's been a few years, so the excuse to me is rapidly wearing out. But my second issue is probably still related to the tires, and it's probably Michelin tires. You know,
Mm,
the
yeah,
crux of
Oof.
Valentino's success over the years has, of course, come with Bridgestone tires. The old Yamaha M1 was pretty much built entirely around the Bridgestone foundation,
once he
and
cancelled
ever
his
since
Michelin
they,
contract,
yeah,
his
and
famous
I'm not,
Yep.
I'm,
contract.
I'm not trying to torch Michelin, by the way, in case anybody's watching. This is strictly my own theory that I'm trying to work out as much as
Do you
anyone.
know what though? I think you could be onto something.
You
Like
could
even
be
without
spot
finishing,
on, yeah.
Yeah, I
because
mean,
the Yamaha is still the basic chassis and design of it dates back to like 2007, 2008
yeah,
style. It's
And
very unchanged from there.
yeah,
And that worked with Bridgestones. So yeah, you may well be onto something there.
yeah,
yeah.
One point
That's
I did want to make though is obviously Qatar. It was rare to use the hard and the medium at Qatar. It just didn't work here, so everybody had to use the soft.
yeah. But
So that
my
is why obviously if he didn't use the soft, then it would have worked even less. So
Oh, it wouldn't
for,
have. That's okay then. Yeah, that's always been my niggling issue with Valentino. And it's something a couple of people have mentioned, but I don't think a lot of people have picked up on. And that's the thing with the M1 Yamaha. Ever since really 2015, whenever Michelin were introduced as the new tire supplier, the M1 has just not been right. It suffered that 15
mm,
kilometer an hour top speed deficit against the Ducati and the Honda and so on and so forth. And it just has not been right since. And I do think that's an issue Valentino's carried with him for those years. Now, of course, his age and his, you know, progressing physical condition will be a big factor in his results. You simply can't deny father time. But I really
yes,
think that's the heart of the issue. I think it could be the very foundation of the bike itself, because Yamaha just have not been able to solve the Michelin conundrum as far as I can see.
yeah, because I remember in 2017, I believe, Maverick Vinales' first season with them come out absolutely blast the first two rounds when the tires were more Bridgestone-y in
yes.
inverted
Mm,
commas. As soon as they changed the tire compound slightly, um,
Yamaha fell
Yamaha just
apart.
fell away, and they've never really recovered from that.
No, not
But
even
I do
Lorenzo.
think, God,
Not even like Lorenzo when he rose the Ducati, the Yamaha last year. Yes, he was unfit, but he was miles off with the Yamaha
yeah,
on.
yeah,
And like Cal Crutchlow said that the Yamaha was in the worst condition it's ever been. Again,
yeah,
that in between then they changed from Bridgestone to Michelin, and Cal
yeah.
Crutchlow
Like
said it was the worst bike he's ever.
Crutchlow rode a Bridgestone equipped Yamaha
Yeah,
last, didn't he? Before
and now he's
going on his
riding
journeys,
a Michelin Yamaha and says it wasn't very good.
he says his Tech 3 bike was better.
Yeah, so you could actually be nail on head there, Keelan.
One
thanks.
thing I do want to say about it though is, if that is the case, where is this legendary Rossi trait of adaptability gone?
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
it's just with age, isn't it? He's 42 years old at the end of the day.
But he still has the brain.
He does, but
So for that, he's always been a king of adapting to his surroundings. Like with Ducati notwithstanding, he's always adapted really well to what he has.
that's very true. My
So
issue with the Rossi fable of adaptability is, we all know the legendary story of Valentino Rossi's Grand Prix career. When he left Honda and went to Yamaha in 2004, the entire program was built around Valentino Rossi and his bike and his theories. And of course, that's why he went on to dominate as much as he did. Now, of course, those were with the Bridgestone compound. So for a lot of years, the Yamaha project has been built around the same unchanging foundation. Now, of course, the Ducati saga is a whole different thing. If you believe Valentino, he never got to test the bike before he signed on, and then he realized it was as bad as it was back then. But that's the real problem, as far as I can see, for Valentino and Yamaha. Even though they're one of the biggest manufacturers in the world and they're one of the most successful in Grand Prix, they simply haven't adapted to the tire change. and they've had a good 5 or 6 years to redevelop and redesign the bike to work with a Michelin base, and it's just never worked.
But you say that, yet that's the only bike that's won this season.
Yeah.
So
yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
Like you said, and I mean, as horrific as it sounds, this year is the first year since 2017 that both factory Yamahas have won the race. You know,
yeah, and
That's right, yeah.
I
and
mean,
I completely forgot about
it's
that.
only so much you can say. Okay, maybe it's not adapting, and maybe it is time to think maybe it's Rossi not adapting.
yeah, because at the end of the day, Franco Morbidelli was second overall last year with 3 race wins. Vinales has won various races. Fabio Quartararo was winning
won
races
today.
on it. You know, what is going on in Rossi's head? Is it? I don't want to discredit the man because again, he can race for the next 10 years for all I care. You know, he is a great rider. He's got a great career behind him. But is it genuinely Rossi? Is it Rossi? Is it not the bike? Is it not this? Is it not that? Is it genuinely down to now Valentino Rossi just maybe being too old, struggling?
Do you know what? I think you accidentally just hit the nail on the head.
Hey.
You just said he's got a great career behind him.
Right. Yeah. Expand.
I don't think he has a great career ahead of him anymore.
No, it is just a constant. It's a slow decline now. You know, you peak and you go down, and he is just doing the decline because of age. You know, as you get older,
It's
you
inevitable.
slow
At the end
down.
of the day, stuff changes. He's managed to without getting too much into rivalries, etc. Look how many people he's seen off.
Yeah.
He's seen Biaggi
Ended
off,
careers.
Gibernau. And then, as soon as the next generation came along of Casey Stoner, Jorge Lorenzo, Marc Marquez, then suddenly he didn't look as invincible. And it's inevitable. Someone will soon come along and challenge all the riders who are currently in the MotoGP World Championship.
We may already be seeing it with Jorge Martin. Marquez could come back and be like, what is going on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, like someone in 3-4 years will step up from European Talent Cup into Moto3 and challenge them. You know what I mean?
It's just evolution.
It's the inevitability.
Yeah, every rider at one point will be beaten and every rider will leave the class eventually.
I think Rossi now needs to preserve his legacy.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, he is now going down the path of what Colin Edwards did, where he was running at around 20th every race. You know, Colin Edwards was a fantastic rider, and he was on rubbish machinery. Like, I don't want to say that the Petronas is bad because it's not. They were a fantastic year. They were the most winningest team last year. With 6
How
race
long
wins
before
under their
Rossi
belt.
doesn't get the top ride?
Yeah, the thing is though, the bikes don't change overnight. Fabio won with Petronas last year. Fabio's moved to the same team as Rossi, and he's winning. Rossi,
he's won today.
Rossi struggled last year, and then moved to the same team that Fabio was winning in, and Rossi was 16th, qualified 21st. Is it just Rossi? Because at the end of the day, you can't have 3 riders doing well and Rossi not. Doesn't make sense.
I think it's a combination, personally. I think it's a combination of Rossi not quite getting to grips with the Yamaha, and the Yamaha not suiting him anymore because the direction lead has been taken away from him.
Yeah, they're just moving. Like, yes, he's still testing for them, which is great, but Yamaha are just moving on. At the end of the day.
Yeah, they got to. Like, you don't get Jack all by standing still.
No.
Yeah, look, you know, everybody knows, and especially in this podcast, you guys both know, like millions and millions of people worldwide, Valentino Rossi's my motorsport icon. He's the reason I became a fan of this in the beginning. And there's a lot of moving parts into why Valentino's in the situation he's in. And I agree with Jacob, it is a combination of both. You know, Valentino Rossi is not getting any younger, and as much as it truly does hurt me to admit it, you know, he's seen off so many people. He's seen off the Biaggis, the Gibernaus, the Stoners, and you know,
I wouldn't say he saw off Stoner, but
no, he did definitely not see off Stoner.
I would kind of argue he did, because Stoner won in 07 and he came back dominant in 08 and 09, but that's an argument for another day.
That's Ducati more than Stoner.
Yeah,
but again, we can discuss
Stoner,
that again.
Stoner did what Rossi should have.
Yeah,
I know I won't go into it too much, but Stoner
we can talk about that
on his terms rather than because Rossi's going to be forced out if he carries on.
Yeah, and Rossi, for those of, I don't mean to bring in another sport here, But what I really don't want Valentino to become is almost like the BJ Penn of MotoGP. I don't
The
want him
what?
to become someone. He's a former UFC fighter who got beaten so badly they had to not let him fight anymore. And I don't want Valentino to become that because he's too good to become that. And I don't want his legacy to be stained and tarnished as a result. Now, we all know Valentino does this because he loves it. And I think whether you love Valentino, whether you hate him, whether you've been a fan since day one, or whether you can't wait to see him go, you have to respect him for that. I really think you do.
Yeah,
But
we don't want to see him leave at the end of the day.
yeah, because
Well, he won't, will he? He's got the squad. He's got
Yeah.
let's be honest, come 2022, he's going to have 2 spots in there, I think, because of India's contract runs out end of
yeah.
21.
But
So
in terms
he's
of
not going anywhere, but I
No.
think he needs to
Be a
he
manager.
needs to not be on track. Simple as.
yeah, as a rider, I think age is starting to affect him now to the point where he's becoming, I think, almost more hesitant in going into it full throttle. You see guys like Marquez and Jack Miller and so on who will literally go full blooded, without a second thought, and they'll dive bomb into anything. And I think
Yes.
Valentino's almost receding from that now because of his
Yeah.
age, and he's becoming more hesitant in doing
I'll
that.
put it this way: would you have 10 years ago? Would you have imagined even hearing about Valentino Rossi talking about kids?
No. Never.
And yet here we are talking about having kids with his partner now. Like I think he's already in the next stage of his career.
Mentally, I think he's clocked out. I think he's clocked out mentally.
I wouldn't say clocked out, but I think he's actually thinking, "Oh, hang on."
Because he did say he wanted to race 2 more years, but is he saying it for the fans? What I don't
Well,
understand.
he said he wants to do well enough to race for 2 more years. Which
Yeah, because
I think Valentino
fair.
wants
Yeah.
one more season in front of the fans, and then you will see him leave being a rider. I think that's what it is.
I think come the end of this year, he'll walk away personally.
Yeah, because mad respect to him.
I actually got my notes down, obviously, because I got a couple of notes for what to discuss.
Yeah.
And I actually put down Moto2 rider of Petronas to replace him before the end of the season.
Oh,
Question
wow.
mark. So what do you think?
That's... Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Mad respect to Rossi because he knows when to quit. He will know that he's already said, if he's not competitive, he will leave. If he's not, like Colin Edwards did. Colin Edwards halfway through the season was like, you know what, screw this. He's not wanting to ride
in
around
my
the back.
opinion, he was risking a lot for 20th.
Yeah, exactly. And again,
Rossi can't be doing that.
Lorenzo is there. Well, perfect example was risking too much for 20th place.
Yeah.
Rossi again might sit there and be like, I'm risking my entire life, a potential future with a wife, with having kids, bringing them up into the sport for 20th place.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, my thing, what I'll do is just to be devil's advocate in the Valentino situation, and I suppose from my own perspective as well, this is my view. Ever since he was a teenager, since he was 17, 18, this has been Valentino Rossi's life.
Oh, yeah.
He has given everything. He has literally lived and breathed this sport for the better part of 25 years and a bit more. As far as I'm concerned, he's earned the right to walk out the door when he wants to.
Agree.
And I agree. It's not
don't
worth
agree.
it.
Oh.
No. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
At the end of the day, this is a cutthroat sport.
Yeah.
Sentiments only take you so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he has bypassed the sentiments of, okay, this is a legend, let's give him his time. I think he's bypassed that now because results are needed.
Yeah, they are. At the end of the day, results...
It's a results-driven business.
I was about to say results don't sell bikes, but your name's Valentino Rossi, so he'll sell bikes regardless.
Yeah, he's gonna be extremely marketable.
Oh yeah,
on or off the bike.
Even now, he will.
I don't want to be the thing about it. I don't want to just disagree with Keelan for the sake of it, but I think he's bypassed that farewell tour almost, and now I think sympathy is running out. Put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, because he'll remain remarkable until for years. Giacomo Agostini is still selling replica helmets now, and people are still buying them in tenfold because he's one of the great. No, He's on the podium of greats, and they're all equal, of the greatest riders ever to exist, and he is still selling helmets now. Rossi will continue to sell AGV helmets for decades. They're selling brand new replica helmets from 2005, 2006, and they are flying off the shelves. Rossi will remain marketable.
Yeah, whether he's on track or off track, everybody knows who Rossi is. But I think when it comes down to it, when was the last time he won? 2018?
2017 Assen.
2017 Assen? Assen, 17, sorry, yeah. That's 4 years now. You can't, like, he's had his farewell tour. He's had his time of saying, okay, we've given the legend his time to say goodbye.
Yeah, he's had.
I think I think Jorge Martin, without wanting to get all the Rossi fans, I don't like Jorge Martin anymore because he did this. But I think Jorge Martin has just put a nail in the coffin.
Yeah, another one
because he's come in as another rookie, another incredible rookie from a lower class, and beaten Rossi.
And Binder's done the same. Oliveira's done the same.
Yeah.
Pecco Bagnaio's done the same. Franco Morbidelli's done the same. Fabio Quartararo's done the same. Do you want me to add any more names to the list?
It sounds anti-Rossi, but I think
it does, yeah.
But there's only so much that you can say before it just turns into a case of, he's staying because of the power.
Yeah, because we're not about BSing it, glossing it up for people. We're not about marketability at the end of the day. We're fans of the sport, and we're giving you content as fans, and this is what we believe. We're obviously open for people to be like, I don't agree with that. That's great. Discussion's important. We're not anti-Rossi. I just want to put it out there. We really respect Rossi, what he's done in his career. He has really just propelled the sport to a level it's never could have dreamt to imagine, and even now at 42 years old, but there does come a point where you've just got to hang your boots up.
Yeah, and I think he bypassed that, and it just, what can you say without people getting offended by it?
Oh, there's always people always get offended.
Look, this is my view in the Valentino situation, and I'll end my lap here on him. I fully agree with everything Declan and Jacob have just said. At the end of the day, we're all realists, and Jacob's right. It is a cutthroat sport. My thing is, obviously, COVID's been horrible for everybody, and no one certainly could have seen the impact that it would have had. But Valentino has more than given enough to the sport to finish it in front of the fans. He is the beating heart of many fans in the stands every weekend whenever things are normal. So if he wants to end it in front of the fans and the paddock and the grandstands, he's earned the right to do that 3 or 4 times over, in my opinion. And the other point that I will make about Valentino, and then I'll end it there, is this. Valentino is obviously, he's on the wrong side of the number 10, and he has been for a while now. But there's still a lot of riders he's finishing ahead of every week. So do we say the same thing about them? He's finishing ahead of the likes of Danilo Petrucci. He's finishing ahead of the likes of Iker Lecuona. He finished above Nakagami.
And Lecuona is a rookie. Petrucci won a race last year.
Yeah, that's not even that.
I think not a rookie.
Everybody he's beaten is on the ascension, pretty much. Petrucci aside, but Petrucci's still adjusting to a very difficult bike at KTM. Everybody he's beaten is on the up and will pass him at some point.
Like Nakagami he finished ahead of. But Honda, even Lucio Cecchinelli said before the race that they have really struggled at the track.
Yeah,
you just got to look at last year's results.
Nobody he's beaten is going to finish behind him when the tables turn. And the tables will turn because they're young and will only get better.
Whereas Rossi is older and will only get worse.
Rossi, I think Rossi is at the lower end of a decline now. He's going downwards, yeah?
Yeah.
Age-wise, he's never going to improve now for me.
No, he will not improve, that's the thing.
He will plateau, perhaps, but improve, I think, is out of the question now. And eventually, Marini's going to regularly start beating him. Lecuona will get it back because Lecuona's arm was like a balloon. He's having arm pump surgery before Portimao.
Morbidelli and Bagnaia are consistently beating him.
Yeah, it's just, I think he's walk away now before your legacy goes properly.
Yeah. Because like if Agostini was still racing now, you'd be asking questions, you know?
Yeah. Like Agostini, Agostini walked away at the top.
Yeah,
Really?
exactly. Stoner walked away at the top. If you want a rider who walked away at the top, Stoner is the perfect example.
Jorge Lorenzo, I'd argue, walked away at the top, left a factory bike at the end of the day.
If Lorenzo stayed with Ducati, he'd still be here.
Yeah, I just think now is the time. He's at that perfect place now where he knows his team's coming in 2022.
Yeah.
He still has the love of everybody in the paddock.
Yeah.
He can make this his last season, get all the love, and still be a massive part of MotoGP. I don't see a downside to quitting now.
He'll still be in the paddock next year, I guarantee it, as a team manager.
I don't see a downside now.
He can't breathe without MotoGP in the best way possible, you know. It's what he spent the last 26 years doing. His name will live in MotoGP forever. You know, like Fausto Grassini, who converted into a team manager, and obviously Pons as well. You know, he'll be.
I think he'll be excellent at it.
I think he'll be absolutely fantastic. He has got an eye for talent I've never seen before, and obviously the riders that they've got going up, Alea Bartolini. Is it Bartolini or is it the other one?
Bartolini, yep.
Yeah, Bartolini and his teammate, who I've forgotten the name of, in the CIV Moto3 Championship. You know, he's got an eye for talent like I've never seen before. He's bringing riders up left, right, and centre. He is amazing.
He can make an Aspar.
Yeah.
Or an Io.
Exactly, yeah. He would be utterly fantastic. The groundwork that Academy
has
think
as well,
unbelievable.
Is if Valentino Rossi's offering you a place on his team, you're taking it.
Yeah.
So he can promote the talent because everybody's not going to say no to being trained, led by Valentino Rossi.
Unless your name's Dennis Foggia, Belega...
Well, they still did. But
yeah.
The only rider I know said no to the VR46 Academy is Enea Bastianini.
Yeah.
And he didn't turn out too bad, to be fair, but...
Yeah, I think he's a champion. I can't remember, but...
yeah, I hear he's racing a Ducati somewhere, but...
Yeah, no idea. Probably fell off somewhere, you know.
Anyway, going on to the race, because we got hung up on that for way too long.
Yeah, we were flipping way...
Whatever.
Yeah.
What did you think of the KTM start?
Oh yeah, from Oliveira, he was...
Yeah.
Poor.
The secret engine that they didn't bring, I bet they brought it.
Yeah. What do you think, Keelan?
Yeah, really, really impressed with KTM's start. I'm getting over the Valentino competition. I need a minute or two. No, I was very, very impressed with Miguel Oliveira. I thought he ran a great race on the whole. You know, I knew that Jorge Martin Pramac was just going to fly off like a missile off the line, and it did again. So did Zarco's bike. But imagine my surprise when I saw KTM coming up the side. You know, Miguel Oliveira looked really, really good, and he
don't know what happened. Like, just to put it simply, you saw Miguel. Was he 12th? He started with it.
Yep.
Oh gosh, I can't remember. Yeah, I think so.
And next thing you know, you blink and he's up in the second place. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, as Keelan said, it's just the start was just incredible.
He must have had. I remember a few years ago, Ian only had the perfect start. Like he lifted off, bang. You know, you couldn't have had any better, and I think that's exactly what's just happened.
Yeah, and the Aprilia as well, it's off the line like a rocket.
Yeah, just like
Yamaha,
solid race.
Maverick Vinales have said, like, this was his exact quote. He said he's pissed off with the fact that Yamaha can't start. How are they getting around that?
By winning races.
But aside from that, like, what can they possibly do to that Yamaha to make it start any better than it already is?
Oh, I don't know. Just, ban the Ducatis or something.
Yeah, make Ducati have an 800. There we go.
Get the GP7s out.
Yeah, but sorry, Keelan. I just jumped in then. Carry on what you were saying, but...
No, man, that's okay. I was very, very impressed with the KTM start. You know, it was a million miles better than last weekend, where they were kind of just lumbering in the middle of the pack. I'm looking at the results now. Brad Binder finished 8th. I think that's incredibly impressive between Mir and Jack Miller. You know, Oliveira ended up...
Someone had to beat it to me now.
Yeah. Oliveira ended up 15th, just ahead of Valentino. Brad, I think, deserves a lot of credit. I think he's kind of snuck under the radar today, but I think he was very, very good at a track that doesn't traditionally favor the KTM. To get
Yes.
anything in the top 10 with the paddock that's there, I think is really, really impressive. And they'll only get better as the championship moves back to Europe. So to answer Jacob's initial question, the start from Oliveira's KTM was absolutely fantastic. It was far better than Yamaha's and Suzuki's.
Yes. It's interesting that the inline 4 bikes are not going off the line as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't. What's really interesting, I was noticing it the entire way through. Yamaha and Suzuki out to the final corner were actually catching Ducati for the first 100 meters.
Yeah,
And then
I noticed that. Like the
turbo
first
hit.
2-3 gears. Yeah, it was like up to 4th gear, and as soon as 5th gear hit, Ducati just went bye.
Yeah, because Rins must have wanted to smack Zarco in the back of the head.
Yeah, every lap.
Because literally, he worked so hard. He
Yeah.
was pushing the front to the point he was sliding near enough every corner, just trying to get the gap, and then Zarco basically just hits turbo mode and goes past him again on the straight. It's got to be so frustrating.
Oh, you've been raging.
Yeah, I think it bodes well for Suzuki and Yamaha. They were able to keep with them
Yeah.
going into tracks which don't traditionally have as much of a straight. Like Jerez,
Yeah, I think so.
Jerez, Portimao. Portimao is it's a long straight, but it's a run on to a straight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it is, yeah. Because it's a round, long corner.
Yeah. So and Jerez especially, the first 3 gears could be enough for him to stay ahead there.
Yeah, it just depends, obviously, as they drop into T1, how it'll affect it, because obviously the wings, we don't know how the wings will be affected by Portimao either.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, yeah, good point. Because obviously, if Martin's grounded out in Qatar, which is like there's some undulation, but nothing compared to Portimao. And if you look at the bike front on, the wing ducts, like the new wing ducts, they actually dangle slightly lower than the belly pan.
Yeah, they do, yeah, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, that's gonna be quite alarming actually.
Yeah, I'm
well.
very, very interested to see how the Ducati works when this championship moves to Portimao and, of course, extensively through Europe, because I think we had a very good idea that the 700-meter straight of Qatar was always going to help the Ducati, and it has over the last 2 weeks. We've seen, especially last weekend when Vinales won, Vinales' M1 was so much better through the corners, but as soon as they got onto the straight, it looked effortless. The Ducati could just make up all of that difference, especially Zarco and Martin's Ducati. But when it comes to the
Yes.
European circuits that, like you both said, have less of a straight or a run onto a straight, that's where I'm interested to see how this Ducati will actually work. Because there's a lot of circuits, like even Misano, that favor the Yamaha a lot better. And this is where the true test of the Ducati is going to come. There's never a write-off weekend in a championship because every weekend's as important as the other. But we knew this weekend would favor Ducati, and it did favor them very, very well. So I'm really intrigued to see how the Ducati adapts to Europe, because this is going to be a real test for them from now on.
Yeah, I think Yamaha actually pulled a blinder by winning both races. They
So do I.
They had no right to win it, basically.
No.
But yeah, and the final point I want to make before I wrap this up is Aleix Espargaro. Okay, he finished further away, technically, in position-wise, but he was actually closer than last week to the win.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think I'm very impressed with that Aprilia still. I was wondering if it would translate the race, and it did.
Yeah, it is.
He was third at the start, you know what I mean? He was doing extremely well. Come off the line like a scalded cat. I'm seeing no downside to this at Aprilia at the moment. I think with respect to Aleix, and we all know I'm an Aleix Espargaro fan, I like him a lot. I think he still needs to get himself at the front of the paddock, because he's still not quite there brain-wise for me.
I think it's now down to, it's not the bike, it's Aleix.
Yeah.
Aleix gets to the front and he's got the cardio of a rider I've never seen before, you know?
Yeah,
4
he's
beats
very
per minute of his heart.
Yeah, but he gets there, and he can't stay there.
Yeah,
He
and
needs to be able to get there and stay
but
there.
he's
because
never had
every
to, has
time
he?
he drops back. No, he's never had to. Obviously, apart from that podium he got a few years ago.
Yeah.
But he's never got there and stayed at the front. Every time Aprilia does well and he's at the front, he drops back.
Yeah.
He needs to
But not
get
even
there
that.
and stay there.
Yeah.
I think he's never had the bike to remain at the front.
But now he
Like
does.
his podiums were freaks, if we're honest.
It's singular. It's a GP podium. Yeah,
It was a freak result because of the conditions, etc.
Yeah, and crashes and stuff like that.
Yeah, so
I
like
think
I like it. I think Aleix is at some point this season is going to go and surprise everyone and win by a margin.
like
Once he figures it, probably not Portimao, but I'm thinking the Italian races, Misano perhaps, because that bike turns.
It's a very, very agile bike. And what I will say about Aleix Espargaro and Aprilia is this. To Jacob's credit, he's been a very big believer in the Aprilia from the beginning. And I, of course, had my doubts because over the last 2 or 3 years, we've heard similar rhetoric and we haven't seen the results match it. But now we're starting to get at least a tad of evidence that for once matches what Aprilia is actually telling us. To finish 7th and 10th in Qatar is a very, very respectable result for Aprilia, I feel, especially a track that does traditionally favour the Yamaha, the Honda, or the Ducati. So I'm very interested to see what they do in Europe. Aleix Espargaro, I think it is going to come down to him now. I think Aprilia have gotten that bike the best they probably ever have. It looks agile, it looks quick, it looks fresh, and it looks very, very good. My concern for Aleix Espargaro is that in his mind, because he's so used to talking about the issues he has with the bike, he's got to get himself into the mindset of now having the bike that he's always wanted, instead of still thinking, oh, this bike's rubbish, and being pessimistic. He himself has to match the optimism of how good the bike is. And I think if he can do that, you will start to see results. And I think Misano's actually a very good shout by Jacob, because it's a good flat track with pretty open corners, and that could really benefit the Aprilia. Even somewhere like Mugello might benefit it.
I think they're going to get done on the straight on Mugello, so that's why I didn't mention it. But Misano, I think, is a definite get-go. Like, I think the other thing for Aleix is simply he hasn't battled with these riders for a long time in a race. He still needs to learn how they work too.
I think as well a problem Aleix Espargaro has is a problem a lot of riders in the grid have. I think if Aleix could qualify in the front row, especially on pole, I think he would probably get the lead and he would be very hard to wrestle it back from. But the problem is whenever you start in the second row or back, especially in the first couple of corners after the start, you get dragged into this dogfight in the middle of the pack, and that's where you lose positions. And Aleix over the last 2 weekends has kept getting dragged into that battle. And he's almost like John McPhee in Moto3. He's got to get himself as close to the front of the pack as quickly as he can and get the hell away from the fight going on behind him, because he keeps getting dragged into the middle of the pack dogfight. And I think if he could get a separation from that, that's where he would push on to the poles and even eventually the wins.
Yeah, because 10th on paper is okay, average. But when you consider 15th was Miguel Oliveira and he was 8.9 seconds off the win, suddenly it takes a whole new meaning for me. So I think come mid-season, I see no reason Aprilia can't be up there.
Yeah, I agree. I think Aprilia will do quite well. So that is all we've got time for on this podcast, but I hope you have enjoyed listening, and we'll be back next weekend with our Portimao race preview. I hope you've enjoyed listening. Thank you. Bye-bye.